Excuse the facial hair and change of background. I'm on vacation. So what is letterboxing and how can I do it? First off, let me say letterboxing is not geocaching. Geocaching is the mortal enemy of letterboxing. Also, there's no letter sending nor any boxing involved in this hobby, in case you thought that was a thing. Have you ever seen National Treasure and thought to yourself, I would so want to do that? Well, letterboxing is essentially National Treasure, in a sense. There are 3 ways to get involved in this hobby. 1, you can just find letterboxes. 2, you can plant letterboxes. Or you can do what most people do, which is plant and find letterboxes. So, what is the point of letterboxing and how do I begin? First off, you need to sign up on a letterboxing dedicated website like atlasquest.com, and you can find letterboxes in your area. Warning, you're gonna do a lot of walking to find letterboxes. So when you find a letterbox that you wanna go for on the website, it's gonna let you know whether it's a short walk, a long walk, or something in between. There are a few essential things that you're gonna want to look at when looking at a letterbox you want to find. One is, when was the last time that box was found? That's very important, because if a box hasn't been found in a few years, chances are it might not be there anymore. Another thing is, how many times has the letterbox been found? If it's been found a lot, good chance it's in a good spot and the clues are really good. If it's only been found one time, you're better off starting off with some other letterbox. And of course, the most essential thing you're going to need when searching for a letterbox, clues. I know, what the heck is a letterbox and how do I even get started with the hobby? We're getting there, I promise. A letterbox is essentially a little weatherproof box that's going to contain a stamp and a notepad. Always will contain those 2 things. Sometimes it'll have a hitchhiker. I'll explain that later on. Now what you're going to need when finding a letterbox are a few things. 1, you're going to need your own little notepad. You're going to need your own stamp. There are actually a few ways of getting your own stamp. You can either go to the store and buy one if you don't have any artistic talent, like me, or you can carve your own. Alright, so you followed the clues, you found the letterbox in a pretty good hiding spot. Now, what the heck do you do now? I'll tell you what you do. This is actually the best part. It's pretty simple too. What you're going to want to do is you found the letterbox, it has its own notepad and its own stamp. Pretend I have a notepad and a stamp, alright? And you have your own notepad and your own stamp. So, I know you might have figured it out by now, but for those who haven't, let me explain. So, with their notepad, you're going to use your stamp and stamp in there, write your trail name, and you're going to want to make up your own trail name. You don't want to put your real name in there. You just don't. So, you use your stamp in their book, wrote your trail name, write the date you got there. With your own notepad, take their stamp, stamp it in your notepad, and write the date you found it and the box name. So that later on, when you're on the website, you're like, did I find this box already? You can look in your notepad. Oh, I did. Don't have to do it again. Now, this is actually the most important thing you're going to want to do. You've done that. It's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory too. The most important thing is you need to hide that letterbox well. I don't care if you found it and it wasn't hidden very well. You need to hide it well, because if somebody else finds it and they're not a letterboxer, chances are they're going to be like, what is this? And then they're just going to leave it or destroy it or throw it away or whatever. They're going to think it's garbage essentially. You need to make sure you hide it well so that the next person who comes along and tries to find it will find it intact as it should be. Also, it goes without saying, but I'll say it, you don't want other people to see you hiding the box. So if you find it on a trail and there's people coming along, wait until they go by, you know, act like you're just taking a rest or whatever, and hide that box after they're out of sight. Congratulations! You found your first box! Now with your feet wet, you can decide, do you want to find more boxes? Is this hobby not for you? Or heck, maybe you really like it and you want to plant your own box. But wait just 1 second, didn't I say I would explain what a hitchhiker is? I don't want a crazy hobo in my car! Calm down, calm down. First off, a hitchhiker is not a person. Yes, you can breathe a sigh of relief now. A hitchhiker is essentially a mini letterbox that you found in a letterbox. I know, crazy. But, so you found a little letterbox, and really what it is, it's going to be like in a little plastic baggie, maybe a Ziploc bag or something. And it fit within the letterbox and has its own stamp and its own notepad. So, same thing as you do with the letterbox. You take their stamp, stamp it in your notepad, stamp your stamp in that notepad, and now what you do is you don't put it back in the letterbox you found it in. You take it, to another letterbox. So, you take the hitchhiker, and the next letterbox you find, you put the hitchhiker in there. Hence the name hitchhiker. So that's the basics of letterboxing. Generally, these letterboxing sites have their own forums, you can get more in depth, you can do your own research. It's not really all that hard to figure out, and it's actually quite fun. I highly recommend it, hence the reason I made a video. Do you have more questions about letterboxing? Leave them in the comments, I will get back to you. Do you think I'm pretty great and you just want to subscribe to my channel? Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. Or check out my content and the content of other people at www.geeksundergrace.com. I know what you're thinking, this is a lot of facial hair. It's really not. I've only been on leave for like